Hello and welcome. As the year 2011 starts winding down and resolve and revelry make way for new resolutions and hope, I have just the right guest to chat with on the show this week. He's a man who's quite funny, he has a great sense of humor, and yet he can be very profound. He likes his creature comforts, yet he guides people towards spiritual solace. Please welcome the very popular life teacher, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. I used the term life teacher to describe you because mystic, yogi, Sadhguru, guru, I got a bit confused. Are you okay with the label I've chosen?
Life cannot be taught, it has to be just lived.
It just has to be lived.
So it's not a good title.
It's not a good title. So which one would you prefer out of the various ones that are given to you?
Sadhguru is fine because Sadhguru means an uneducated guru, which I look at and I am. So…
When you do sessions like the one you've just done in Bombay, when you do these all over the world, when you look out at that sea of humanity, do you think they are looking for? And has that changed over the years? Is it different from time to time and place to place? Or are they seeking for something that's pretty much uniform?
One significant change has happened, which I have observed 30 years ago when I started teaching. At least 70% of the people who came to us came because of physical ailments, they wanted relief. But today, if you look at the crowd, you will see just about maybe 10–12% of the people might have come for physical ailment, but still that's not the main reason that they're there. The remaining over 85%, an overwhelming 85%, has come because they want something new to happen in their life. They want to experience another dimension of life. That change is significant on the planet, that human beings are seeking human consciousness like never before.
Why do you think that is the case?
I think essentially because of enlargement of affluence to larger number of people. Only when people become reasonably affluent, they realize that it is not a solution. When they are poor, they really believed that if they get a few lakhs of rupees, everything is going to be okay.
And then when they get that…
When they get it, they realize that's not it. And they start looking which way. And whichever way they look, when it doesn't work, turning inward will be a natural solution. So always it is the well-to-do who looked inward. You will see if you look at the history of this nation, it is replete with many kings turning spiritual, because king means you thought everything would be solved for you, and you realize actually you're in the very core of problem when you become a king. It is not a solution. So when you don't find any solution around you, though you have achieved everything that everybody is dreaming of, that is when you naturally turn inward because you know the solution is not outside.
And when you see these people, when they attend these group sessions that you conduct, do you think hope is what is guiding them, what is bringing them to you? What is the motivator besides this desire to, to explore beyond the physical and the now and the immediate? Is it hope that's driving them?
It's not a question of hope, it is a question of a possibility. They see the possibility. And largely, Isha as a movement has spread only by word of mouth. First 20 years of my work, as a rule, I never appeared in front of television, never gave a press interview, never put up any banners or posters or anything.
That's changed,
as a rule.
Yeah.
Why that was so is because for doing the spiritual process, just the word of mouth brought millions of people to us. We did not have to advertise. Even now it is true for us. But only about 11 years ago or 10 years ago, when we started the social projects, we started social outreach projects, large-scale projects in South India, then we needed support. So that's when I stepped out and appeared in the media and making all the noise that we are making today because of the social projects. For spiritual process, by word of mouth, it'll happen.
Has that been for you personally something that is a chore, work that you need to do, it has got to be done? Do you enjoy it? How do you deal with the fact that you had to raise your public persona. You know, because people are coming to you now to comment on Anna Hazare's movement, people are coming to you to comment on how spiritual, foundations should manage their money. So that's a different part of what you do, isn't it? How do you manage all this, and does it make you comfortable?
I've made myself in such a way that I don't let myself be uncomfortable with anything. People praise me, people abuse me, I'm comfortable with both. Sometimes the situations are pleasant, sometimes the situations are unpleasant, I'm comfortable with both because I have not given this privilege to anybody that they can put me in discomfort. I have not given this privilege to anybody that they can make me frustrated or angry or miserable. I've kept these privileges for myself.
But the higher public profile, the time you spend in, answering my questions, for instance.
Given the choice, maybe I would like to just sit with my eyes closed rather than doing all this. But it's needed, it doesn't take any toll on me. So, I'm on almost 20 hours a day, 7 days of the week, non-stop, on, everywhere. Some people think this is superhuman effort because I'm on in Mumbai for 4 days and when I leave all the volunteers collapse, I go to the next place and still the same thing for me. Okay, it's wherever I go, it's the same thing for me. So is this superhuman? It is not superhuman, it is very human. It is just that unfortunately, most of the humanity has not realized the immensity of being human. Most of the human beings have not realized that being human is super, there is no need to be superhuman. Being human itself is a super thing. Because there is no exploration of the human being. Our education systems are telling us how to learn about something else and something else and something else, largely oriented towards earning a living. Not about expanding who you are, not about exploring the nature of the human being. In this creation, upon this planet, this human being is the most sophisticated machine on this planet, if I can call you that. It is the most sophisticated life. In terms of complexity, in terms of possibility, both ways, it is the most sophisticated. Why is it that nobody is paying any attention to this human being? I'm not talking about the physiology or the psychology, I'm talking about the human being. We are too interested and absorbed in the gadgets that we created. An iPhone or an iPad is keeping people engaged, but why isn't the eye keeping you engaged? If you pay enough attention to this, you would realize the immensity of what it means to be human.
Tell me how you came upon yoga, because from what I've read and heard you say, you discovered yoga when you were about 11 years old and then you practiced it without fail, and that practice of yoga for over a decade after that was almost like your sadhana or your tapasya. That I think I've interpreted as you crediting your self-discovery to that practice. Am I right?
It would be not entirely appropriate to say that. There are other dimensions to it. But that is a logical way of explaining things. When I learnt yoga mainly for physical and mental well-being. Should I tell you the story? How?
Yes. Who taught you yoga? How did you discover yoga?
I went into yoga for the wrong reasons. I was… every summer we all used to go to my grandparents' place, where it's a large place, and we are a whole bunch of over 35 people. And so one of the sport for the boys is, there is a well which is about 8 feet in diameter, 150 feet down. In summers the water is down almost 65, 70 feet. So one of the sport is to jump into this well and climb up. So you have to jump properly. If you don't go properly, your brains will become a smear on the wall. And to climb, there are no steps or staircase or anything. You have to hold the rock and climb. It's a tough thing to do. But this is one of the things we do, and I'm pretty good at it. One day we're all doing this. Most boys don't dare to jump. So those who jump are, like that. And an old man, over 70 years of age, was watching us. Without a word, he went and jumped. I thought he's finished. But he came up quicker than me, and I didn't like it. So I asked him, how? He said, come and do yoga. I followed him. So why I'm telling you this story is, even if you do yoga for wrong reasons, it still works. That is the nature of this existence. Even if you do the right things, even for the wrong reasons, still you get the right results. That's how compassionate creation is for you.
So that's how you discovered yoga?
That's how I first stepped into yogic practice.
And then was my interpretation of what you said right? That it is that practice of yoga that has helped you on your personal path to discovery, self-discovery?
For me, self-discovery was more a reminder. That's something I realized later. At that time, yes, what you're saying is right.
I've heard you describe how you were in between two business meetings or two appointments, and you just sort of went off to the Chamundi Hills and you sort of sat there, and before you knew it, a lot of time, several hours had passed. I want to understand what that was. What happened to you that day? You've talked about it.
Yes, I have.
Am I tiring you now?
No, I'm just saying how to minimize. When you abridge something, it could become meaningless,
That's true. That's true.
What happened to me means, till that moment…
Till that moment, you were a regular guy. You could have been me. You could have been
I'm
me.
a regular guy. What makes you think I'm irregular?
You didn't have followers there. You didn't have followers then, and you didn't have a way of looking at things which would help other people.
Yes.
So you could have been me.
No, I was a man. I was a man. And a young man. Now, what happened to me on that day was, whatever I was till that moment, it just evaporated on that day. It's very difficult to explain how. But everything that I knew as myself simply crumbled and disappeared in a matter of few weeks. Everything about me changed so dramatically. If you look at my pictures before and after, you will see the very shape of my eyes changed, my voice changed dramatically. I had already, at the age of 15, 16, my voice had cracked and become mature, but my voice changed dramatically in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks' time. The shape of my eyes changed, my gait changed. I'm not trying to change anything. My whole body realigned itself. It's almost like a whole new human being came out, and that old person he's still there, but somewhere, remote guy. I still remember him, I like that guy, but he's far away.
When you were a young person, when you were a child, you were a pretty skeptical person, which is why religion…
Not pretty, absolutely skeptical.
You were a skeptic, so you were the skeptic to beat all skeptics. So formal religion did not appeal to you. When you narrate this personal experience of yours and your path to self-discovery, have you had skeptical reactions? And how do you react to those skeptics?
If people are not skeptical to what I say, because what I say is too fairy tale-ish, you must be skeptical.
A bit.
You should be, I'm saying, because I wouldn't believe this kind of nonsense if somebody had told me. What has happened in my life in the last 30 years is too fairy tale-ish for any sensible person to believe. I wouldn't believe such things if it had not happened to me. Not only what's happened within me, that is something that I can never articulate. Even what happens around me is too fairy tale-ish. It's difficult for anybody to believe. You will see if you come and see me in certain situations where the people are around, what's happening to them just because of my presence is something that you will not believe. You will think this is being created, this is being acted out. It is not being acted out, it will just happen. These days I know how to regulate myself, hold myself when I have to, let myself go when I have to. There was a time after these things happened to me, just walked into any place without knowing why, just everybody would burst into tears.
Today, how does your family see you? Because I believe you have a brother and a sister, you have a daughter. How does your family see you and how do you see them?
I have a very large family, a few million strong.
How does the conventional family, what regular people like me think of as family, see you and how do you see them?
I see them as important people in my life who played a significant role in my life in so many ways, for whatever contributions they've made to me. But I'm not particularly entangled with the family business because the bond of spirit is much stronger than the bond of blood. So I am bound by spirit to millions of people. And blood, not because of blood, because at a certain stage in your life, they played a significant role in your life. So for that, they're important to me.
But do you feel the same way about your daughter, who I believe is a young adult now?
Yes. I have too many daughters and sons. So she's also one of them, but she thinks she's my boss, but
Is she part of the foundation? Does she work with you?
no, she's a Bharatanatyam dancer. She's performing for the last 1 year.
And do I see pride in your eyes? Do I see pride in your eyes?
I'm glad she's dancing, not just trying to earn a living. I'm glad she chose something like that, that she did not choose to do something just for the sake of earning a living. That's something that I always put into her, don't ever bother about earning a living. Because even a worm and an insect can do it. Do something that you really care to do, something that you think is valuable. That's what you must do in your life, otherwise it simply means that you don't value your life. So she went to this, she that, she thought she'll do this, she'll do that, then she invested herself in dance full-time. I took her off formal education after 10th standard. And she went into full-time dance for last 7 years or 8 years now. And now she's performing and she's very passionate about it and I'm glad she's doing that.
I hate to bring this up, but I read it in my research where you're concerned, and that is that your late wife, there is this controversy about the way she died. Will you help me understand that a bit?
There is no controversy, it is just a few tabloids picked it up and did some rubbish, because we know why they did it now. And a few bloggers who have nothing else to do, they keep doing it. Absolutely no controversy because it happened in the presence of people and it was a natural process. It is just that because you're in a public space, anybody can say anything. The law has not said anything, no legal entity has said anything. People who have nothing else to do, they keep commenting about it. She was like my shadow for 12 years. She lived as a part of my life in everything that I did. And this is a nation where there have been thousands of incidents where people have left their body consciously. It is the peak of yoga in many ways. So she announced that she will leave almost 9 months ahead of that time. And she even prepared my daughter, who was only 7 years of age. And many ways I tried to… because those 12 years we were traveling and traveling all the time together. So this was the time when we're just kind of beginning to settle down. I said, just now we're settling down, why now? So she said, right now everything within me and outside of me is perfect. This is the time I want to attain to this. And she started working towards it. I never thought she will make it so quickly. This is something everybody is working towards, that you must be able to conduct the most profound aspects of your life consciously, that includes your birth and your death. So that is not a simple factor, which unfortunately, that profoundness in the society is gone. So all kinds of people who have nothing else to do, they're commenting about it. There's absolutely no controversy. There were hundreds of people, a few thousand people attended the funeral, everything was there. They're just commenting without any basis. If anything like that was there, you think all these young people would be around me, supporting and making things happen?
When you say it's possible to prepare for death…
I did not say death.
What did you mean then?
Is it true that you gathered this body slowly over a period of time? Yes? You gathered it. Some people gather this body consciously, lot of people gather it unconsciously. If you had gathered it consciously, it would also be possible for you to drop it consciously. If you gathered it unconsciously and lived unconsciously, such a thing would look like an impossible thing for you. But if you gathered it consciously and you conducted it consciously, you could also keep it aside consciously. So, this is the very essence of the yogic process, and it's always been there in our cultures. Paramahamsa Yogananda sat in front of 700 people, announced that I'm leaving my body now, and he left. So, what do you think? It's suicide? That's what you will be accused of. If you can't accuse someone of suicide, then you will say it must be murder, okay? So this is just very silly ways of profound aspects of life being looked at by very gross people, very cross explanations for very profound nature of human existence here.
Do you think as a people, are we able to relate to these concepts that you've said we have instances of in history? Because while I understand what you're saying or attempt to understand what you're saying at an intellectual level, at a visceral level, and I'm not talking about…
I understand.
So I'm just trying to figure out, can I choose to do this?
If you work for it, not going to come easy, but if you work for it, yes, every human being can. Can I live consciously? That's a question you're asking. Can you live consciously if you work upon it? Yes? If you live consciously, is death also an inevitable part of your life? Shedding this body also is an inevitable part of your life or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
If I can eat consciously, if I can sit consciously, if I can breathe consciously, if I can sleep consciously, is it also possible that I can keep my body aside consciously? Does it look like a possibility for you?
When you say it like this, yes, but when I think of it on myself, I'm not sure I can make that leap.
It is not a leap. If you…
Why then do so many people suffer with terminal illnesses and diseases? If you're saying that you can work towards making these conscious decisions, then why do we have the other instance? When people linger and linger and linger and are not able to make that break.
So when people are suffering something, if you tell them the truth, they won't be able to digest it. Let's not talk about that. What I would say is it true with you right now as you sit here that this body that you have gathered happened to you over a period of time? It is a accumulation. What you call as my body is just a piece of this planet. Whether you like it or not, one day you have to pay back. It's a loan from the planet, isn't it? So you've taken credit from Mother Earth. When the time to come back, you can either give back willingly or you can give back crying. You took loan from this planet. If you made something else out of it, when the time to give comes, you will give it consciously and joyfully and go. If you made nothing out of it, you will die miserably and you think that is normal. That is not normal. Just because you didn't make it, you think nobody can make it. This is the crown of ignorance. When people think, whatever I do not know cannot exist, this is the crown of ignorance. So all this controversy is because a lot of people are wearing this crown of ignorance.
What is your fondest hope for humanity and for India especially? Because I think from what I've read and heard you say, you have a strong sense of what you think this country, this people of 1.2 billion strong can become and should become, isn't it?
See, as a nation, we have an enormous history behind us. When I say an enormous history, probably the best compliment for this country has come from an American writer. You definitely heard or at least read Mark Twain. Mark Twain visited India for 3.5 months and he traveled and he had the right kind of guide who he got around to meet people in this country. When he was leaving, he said, anything that can ever be done, either by man or God, has been done in this land. the profoundness of what lies behind India is so fantastic. That is our biggest capital. If we use that, the technologies for well-being that we have, we can service the whole world. But all kind of charlatans are going and earning horrible whatever and coming back, that today a guru has become a bad word in the West. If we present this properly, the technologies of well-being that we have always known for generations, for thousands of years, no culture has looked at the mechanism of life with the level of profoundness that we have looked at.
In India?
Yes. This itself is a tremendous knowledge base. If we use this, just everything in life can be settled.
For someone who I would presume or dare to assume is more liberated or is closer towards liberation than many others, are there any weaknesses or bonds that you are yet to get rid of?
Speed.
Your need for speed, is it?
Yes. If you think it's a weakness, it's not a weakness. I think it's my strength. I can hold a vehicle at top speed, that's what gets me to places quickly. But people think it's a weakness.
So speed, what else? Because that's ambivalent, because you don't even feel that that's a bad thing, so then we can't consider that.
See, I made myself like this, that every aspect of my life is just conscious. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Because it's conscious, I do only those things which I think is good. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. Somebody else may think it's not so good, but that's their opinion. I do only things that I think is good. I wouldn't do something if I think it's bad. It doesn't arise in my life. But it may be bad in somebody's eyes, that is up to them.
Theory of relativity with a new spin. Jaggi Vasudev, it was lovely talking to you, and thank you very much for your time.